that people cannot
That
go
people-
cannot go into that stage that they can. You can go into the subconscious mind, or you cannot reach.
So is your question? I missed the beginning.
That some people say, "Oh, I cannot do that." So.
Oh no, that's not true. Unless they can't think. If someone can't think, then they can't go into hypnosis because they have to follow your instructions. No, we go in and out of hypnosis all the time. I've got a lot of videos on YouTube. If you look up Patricia Scott hypnosis, you'll find a whole bunch of my videos. So that's a whole seminar in itself of what is it. But just so you know, anybody who wants to be hypnotized can be hypnotized, you know, because they have to be open to it. Like I said, they're hypnotizing themselves. We're just guiding them. So, and anybody with a, you know, average intelligence that can follow simple instructions can go into hypnosis. The people that have the best results in hypnosis are people that are highly motivated. And usually if somebody's coming to a hypnotherapist for help with something, it's a lot of times, even today, it's not the first person they ask for help from. A lot of times, although it is getting, you know, people are starting to get the idea. Even psychologists come to me now for hypnotherapy, you know, and they're starting to know that it shouldn't be the last thing on your list. It's very nice if it's the first thing on your list, because it gets to the root of what's going on. It gets into the unconscious mind, like I said, where all the answers are. I always tell people the expert is in you, not in me. I'm the expert at helping you discover, you know, what the answers are and what can help you get what you want. But all of the answers are inside of the person. So as long as someone's motivated and wants to change something, they'll be great at hypnosis, because we go out in and out of it all day long. And like I said, up until about age 5 to 7, we're in a light state of what we would call hypnosis, as far as brain waves and suggestibility. So again, if somebody has some problems from early age that they don't even remember, you know, they might have something that was put in their mind when they were very tiny that says you're not good enough, you'll never be good enough, or that kind of thing. And they may not even realize that's kind of stuck in there, affecting different areas of their life. So if they have a sticking point or a block on something in hypnotherapy, we can help them to discover that. And again, the neurolinguistic, it's about the language of the unconscious mind, so that we know how to talk to that part of the mind. And the only thing it takes is someone to give permission to do it, and then to kind of let that logical, critical, what we call the critical faculty, the judgmental part of the mind, to just step aside enough to give permission to access where the real information is, because some of our belief systems may not be accurate. Like I said, if someone was told as a child, you'll never be good enough, if that's still kind of in there coloring some of their behaviors or some of their goals they're working on, then they may not on a logical adult level say, well, I've done all these other things, I know that's not a problem, but it might still be coloring some aspect of their life without them knowing it. And again, if they're challenged with something that they know they should be able to do, like if somebody, the best example is if somebody wants to quit smoking, everybody knows it's possible to quit smoking, because you weren't born a smoker, you know, and millions of people have quit through,
yes.
You know, yeah, so everybody knows it's possible. So somebody's struggling with it, that means the unconscious mind has a different idea and it's more powerful. That's where your programming, like I said, all that automated behaviors are back there. And if you don't get the message to that part of the mind, then the behavior is going to keep going the way it's been taught, So if someone was taught they're not good enough, they're going to keep responding that way until you get to the unconscious part of the mind and get it to realize that was just somebody's, you know, limiting belief about me when I was a kid. And that's not true. It was just somebody's opinion out there that isn't accurate, at least anymore. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. So gratitude, where gratitude comes in, is it loosens up. There's something about, like I said, in the positive psychology site, there's all kinds of cool little exercises that they talk about doing, where it loosens up, it opens the person up to that, instead of the flow coming, you know, the consciousness being in here beating themselves up or thinking in negative terms or stressed out over COVID or whatever it is. When you start thinking about things you're grateful for, it loosens up and sends the energy out. It opens up your energy. I don't know how else to say it. It might sound a little strange, but it loosens things up so that you're not so tense. And gratitude opens you up to let that flow of energy go out to someone else or something else, like they said, in the fields of religion. And, you know, theology has a lot of processes about gratitude as well. And again, tomorrow night I'll get more into all this stuff. But in all these different realms, whether it's philosophy or psychology or medicine, they all have, I have all kinds of studies that document how just starting to get a few minutes a day of that gratitude going, especially at night before you go to sleep, and especially in the morning when you wake up, and then maybe intersperse it a little bit throughout the day. And in my field, we know that when you do something in hypnotherapy, it gets it really much deeper embedded in consciousness. So it can become a habit of thinking much more quickly that way. But again, you can do it just through repetition. And then pretty soon what happens is, again, the neural pathways start to reroute. You start to get new tracks in the brain, literally, of new habits of thinking that start to get automated at some point pretty quickly, actually, because your body feels good. Like I said, there's a sense of well-being, there's a sense of optimism, and it's the studies show that it really does, it can last as long as 6 months after a series of this. They have things where you can write a letter to someone that you're grateful to, and just by writing the letter, even if you don't send it, there's something inside of you that shifts into a more healthy state, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because they're all tied together. You can't shift one of those without it affecting all of the other aspects of who you are. So it's much more powerful than first glance might show. And like I said, it's nice that we have all these scientific studies now to prove all this stuff and to show the power of gratitude. So I read you the Harvard description of gratitude. They talk about I was talking about the different benefits of gratitude. So let me go over just quickly, again, this will be an overview because of time, of the different aspects of, there's 9 recent psychological findings related to a study on gratitude. And this study was done, again, Emmons, E-M-M-O-N-S, is the guy from the world of positive psychology that you can find just as much as you want to get into out there from that person and all the studies he's done. So he's kind of the go-to guy, evidently, from the world of psychology. And he did a major study that had an overview of 9 different things that are positively affected by gratitude from all these very extensive studies that he did. So one was, I mentioned earlier, enhanced well-being. So he found that expressing your thanks can become your overall sense, can improve your overall sense of well-being. So grateful people are more agreeable. Less neurotic. That's nice. Always nice to be less neurotic, right? People that start getting more into the sense of gratitude, they have deeper relationships. That's the second thing that he found. Now, that was one that kind of surprised me when I saw it. I said, well, what is that about? And they found that gratitude, it's a powerful tool for strengthening interpersonal relationships. People, and then it makes sense as they further explain it. People who express their gratitude for each other tend to be more willing to forgive others, and they're less narcissistic. And again, I've got the credits for who did those studies. The third thing they found is that people that have that express gratitude and practice it, they have improved optimism. And I did mention that earlier. Again, Emmons and McCullough, they did a study in 2003 exploring the impact of practicing gratitude. And after 10 weeks, their research conveyed that people who focused on gratitude showed more optimism in many areas of their lives, including health and exercise. That sounds like a good thing. When people are optimistic about their well-being and health, they may be more likely to act in ways that support a healthy lifestyle. So there's another benefit. The fourth thing they found, benefit from gratitude, is increased happiness. That's not surprising after hearing the other ones. And a bunch of people, I won't name them all, they conducted a study in 2011 asking people to write and deliver a letter to someone for whom they were grateful. After that task, their happiness levels and their life satisfaction were dramatically impacted even weeks later. So that's another thing. The fifth thing they found is stronger self-control. Now, in the field that I'm in, hypnotherapy and neurolinguistics, it's all about empowerment. So I loved seeing that. That makes sense. Self-control helps with discipline and focus. Long-term well-being can benefit from self-control. For example, resisting nicotine in cigarettes for someone who's trying to quit smoking. We were just talking about that. Self-control helps us stick to the better choice for our long-term health, our financial future, and our well-being. And then there's another study by Desteno, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and some other people in 2014. They found that self-control significantly increased when subjects chose gratitude over happiness or feeling neutral. So they had those three things, gratitude, happiness, or neutral. Gratitude won the show. One of the study's authors, Yi Li, said, showing that emotion can foster self-control and discovering a way to reduce impatience with a simple gratitude exercise opens up tremendous possibilities for reducing a wide range of societal ills, from impulse buying and insufficient saving to obesity and smoking. So again, physical things that we're doing, behavioral things, they talked about exercise. These are things when I started really researching gratitude. And like I said, the script that I wrote that I'm going to do tomorrow night was written many, many years ago before I really did this much research on it. So number 6 ties in with all of those, better physical and mental health. Research from 2015, it showed that patients with heart failure who completed gratitude journals showed reduced inflammation, improved sleep, and better moods. And they reduced their symptoms of heart failure after only 8 weeks. So that's pretty cool. The link between the mind-body connection aligns with how gratitude can have a double benefit. For example, the feeling of appreciation helps us to have healthier minds, and with that, healthier bodies. So this is not just lightweight, just be grateful. You know, this is powerful stuff, right? Do you have any questions so far? I got a few more here.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So number 7 that he found, an overall better life. Of course, that goes along with all the rest of them. Over the last 2 decades, the evidence supporting the benefits of gratitude have increased an awful lot. And there's a quote from a Wall Street Journal article called "Thank You, No, Thank You." Whatever that, I don't know, it's a weird title, but they say adults who feel grateful have more energy, more optimism, more social connections, and more happiness than those who do not, according to studies conducted over the past decade. They're also less likely to be depressed, anxious, greedy, or alcoholics. And that was an article from the Wall Street Journal by Melinda Beck. Number 8 in the benefits of gratitude is stronger athleticism. Now we're really in the physical. Studies from a researcher at the Lung Hung Chen, I guess he's a researcher, Lung Hung Chen, found that an athlete's level of gratitude for his success or her success can influence their levels of well-being. Again, that word well-being. More specifically, adolescent athletes who are more grateful in life are also more satisfied and tend to have higher levels of self-esteem. And they're better at their athletics because of that better sense of well-being. Less stress, right? It all comes back to that. Number 9, the last one, is stronger neurologically based morality. Now, what does that mean? Stronger neurologically based morality? Okay. Neuroscience is beginning to explore what gratitude does to the mysterious human brain. One study measured the brain's response to feelings of gratitude with functional magnetic resonance imaging, that's fMRI. And these researchers elicited feelings of gratitude in their participants and found that gratitude increased activity in areas of the brain that deal with morality, reward, and judgment. These neural findings are interesting and beget further studies. Is gratitude associated with morality? If so, this supports why philosophical and religious thinkers have used gratitude in the formation and maintenance of their societies. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
There's a whole lot more, but we don't have time for all of this stuff. Just want to give you a kind of an overview there. So how does that fit in with change work? There are all kinds of little processes, like I said, both in a change work scenario for a therapist, counselor, coach, whatever the label is the person's using. In my field as a hypnotherapist, using the linguistics of gratitude, helping to reframe, we use that a lot in hypnosis. The logistics of how people are going to use this, both in the, like I said, the linguistics of it, of how to talk to the unconscious mind, so we can get people to, by reframing how they're talking when they first come in. I do a lot of emphasis when I'm training people in hypnotherapy on the pre-talk, meaning the interview, the initial, interview, when the person first comes in and starts explaining to you what's going on in their life. You get a lot of information and you can see how they frame, in other words, how they are, what their map is of how they're experiencing, how they're interpreting, rather, reality, which is how they're experiencing it. Because it's not about reality, what's happening out there, it's about how their mind is processing it and the meaning they're putting on it. So when they say something that is showing that they have a negative attitude or a depressing attitude, those kind of things, we can start to interrupt patterns, because they're habit patterns of thinking. They didn't come out of the womb with those ways of thinking. They were taught that.
How do you do that, Patricia? How do you interrupt that when you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, as the hypnotherapist that someone's asking for help from, I have permission to interrupt them. So in the interview, whenever they get into something that is a negative thought pattern or a verbal, I always say whatever's playing in their head, in their self-talk, you're going to hear it come out of their mouth too. So if someone says, I'll just give you an example. Let's say someone says, I've never been able to blank, fill in the blank. I've never been able to blank. I will literally physically interrupt them. I'll say, I'm going to stop you for a second. With all respect, my job is to help you. So I want you to hear what you just said, and I'm going to repeat it back to them. You just said you've never been able to blank. And then I'm going to start doing what we call reframing. I'm going to start, and this is on a conscious level, but it's also doing things in the brain. Remember, every thought, in the brain, like I said, as long as they keep thinking that same way, those neural pathways just get deeper and deeper and deeper. But as soon as you interrupt one of them and give them a different idea in the moment, now you've created an opportunity for the brain to start rewiring. And we know from neuroplasticity now, the whole science of that the brain can rewire, it can retrack, it can create new dendrites and neural pathways and all those things the neurologists know all the big words about. I just know the simple explanations. That's all I need to know. I just know that it works, and that's what my job is, to get it to work. So if I interrupt them, because see, when somebody is telling you their story and they're on automatic and their self-talk is coming out of their mouth, that's how they're keeping their current experience happening. Our job as a change work artist, as a facilitator, is to recognize when there's a pattern that's keeping them in their negative programming or in their stuck mode or whatever it is. And if we interrupt it, now they're in light hypnosis because they're automated, telling the story that they don't have to think about, because it's automated. Like I said, when something's automated, that means you're in light hypnosis doing it. You don't have to think about it in the moment. It's nothing new here. It's already there. And if we interrupt it, now we have literally broken the light hypnotic state they were in and brought them back to now. And that gives the brain an opportunity to start retracking to a different way. And so that's how we can introduce a new idea. Like you said, you've never been able to blank. So that's what we call a universal quantifier. It's a big, long word. All it means is it's an all, everything, always, never, those kind of things. They're rarely accurate when you start breaking them apart. So what we're doing by interrupting it and challenging that for the person, now that we've snapped them back into now, is we've given them the opportunity to think, oh, well, yeah, no, that wasn't really true until that point in my life. Before that, I didn't have this problem. or I didn't have this challenge. Maybe that's it. But we start to break it apart in consciousness. Now the brain has a new map. Now it's starting to have a broader spectrum of possibilities of what might be a little more accurate about that. Because again, as long as they keep, let's say somebody wants to quit smoking, you know, I've tried everything there is and I've never been able to quit smoking. Nobody in my family's ever been able to quit, you know, those kind of comments. That's just supporting them smoking. So if they're in there asking you to help them to quit smoking, that pattern has to be broken. It has to be interrupted and rechanneled, right? So, and there's all kinds of ways to break up belief systems and things like that. Like I said, when you start introducing, you've never been able to do that. Okay, well, let's bring gratitude into it. Is there anything that you did, that you've ever done in your life that you wanted to stop doing, that you did do, that you did stop? And then hopefully most people can say, well, you know, yeah. Or you can say, maybe when you were a baby, did you ever suck your thumb? Did you ever have a blanket you carried around until a certain point? Did you, you know, anything they can think of that was a positive, doesn't have to be from childhood, but from a baby, but anything they can think of that they wanted to stop doing, that they succeeded. Now you can say, so give yourself some appreciation. I tell people a lot, do a lot of this, pat yourself on the back. That's called giving yourself gratitude, right?
Yes.
Appreciation, gratitude. And what happens is now you've gotten them out of that I've never been able to, that negativity, and you've loosened it up just enough and interrupted the pattern, brought them back to now. And now you're giving them some appreciation, or they're giving themselves some appreciation for something that they did, even though it's unrelated to what they're wanting to do now. But they can give themselves appreciation. And what that does is, again, it opens up consciousness. It takes that pressure off, that negative pressure, and it opens them up to say, well, yeah, I did succeed at that. Okay, well, let's use some of the resources that you used to do that. And you still have it inside of you. And we can borrow those resources from that context and put it in this context and help you with this. There's absolutely no reason you can't do this as well. Yeah. But that gratitude and appreciation can start to help that person understand that they do have some resources available to make changes. Again, because the therapist, in my opinion, some therapists out there might think they do, but in the world of hypnotherapy, and I'm a trainer, so I teach my students that we don't give the person the answers. We're helping them to discover them within themselves, which is very empowering. That's why I love this field, right? Yeah. We can't give them something they didn't walk in the door with. We can just help them to discover it and to access it and to use it more appropriately for what they're asking help with. So, but gratitude is such a, you know, from the research, like I just gave you a little touch of a few things. The research is very, very thorough now, that just being gratitude, doing a gratitude journal, maybe ending your day and starting your day with just a little bit of gratitude or self-appreciation. For a lot of people, that self-appreciation is something they forget. You know, they appreciate out there a lot. There's a lot of people that, you know, out there, we have a lot of people that are caregivers, that are the helping fields, that are very unhealthy because they never give it to themselves. Yeah. They're always giving it out, but they're never receiving it. So for those people, you know, they already have the ability to be grateful and to be appreciative. They're just sending it only in one direction. We got to get them to start, you know, helping them to feel it here, and then they'll get healthier. Because a lot of caregivers are extremely unhealthy just for that reason alone. So gratitude can be, that's one piece of what we can do with people, and just that one piece can make all the difference in the world.